Let's talk the week in politics. Election 2011 with the leader of the Labour Party, Phil Goff, with us this morning. Morning, Phil.
Morning, Wammo.
Morning. Now, a week ago we spoke to you. It was just before the One News leaders debate, which went reasonably well for you, but then things didn't go so well in the press debate. You didn't have the figures, Phil. Why didn't you have the figures?
Well, I think I won the TVNZ debate. I think the one in Christchurch was a game of two halves, clearly ahead in the first half. The second half, the figures that we've put out now on our fiscal plan were always scheduled to come out on Friday, so I didn't have those with me at that time.
Tactical error not to have them beforehand, though, surely.
Absolutely would have been desirable to have had them, but hey, we've put those figures out now. I think probably the Labour Party has done more than any other opposition party in history to set out its full fiscal plan, where we're getting the money from, how we're spending it, and what we've demonstrated in those figures is that we will pay we will be in surplus by the budget year 2014. We will pay off the entire government debt a year before National does, but wait for it, the big difference is we'll still have our assets. Do we borrow a bit more in the first few years? Of course, because we're not selling our assets. But if you're a businessman, Wammo, why would you sell your best performing assets in order to pay off your debt? You wouldn't. And why is this government doing it? It's a nonsense.
Is borrowing more in the short term going to affect our credit rating and the way that people lend to us?
No, I don't think so. I'll tell you why. Standard & Poor's said there are three things that led them to downgrade New Zealand for the first time in 13 years. Debt, lack of savings, lack of plan for ageing population. In the debt plan, we've shown that we've got a responsible fiscal plan and we will pay off that debt more quickly. And in the savings area, we show how we will add billions of dollars to our savings record so we can own our future, so we can invest in growth and business and jobs, and so that New Zealanders have a comfortable retirement. And in the question of the ageing population, look, every New Zealander knows that it's unsustainable as we live 11 years longer during my lifetime to continue to retire at 65. What we've set out as the Retirement Commissioner's plan on the age and with the rider that if you're burnt out at 65 and you can't keep working, we're not going to punish you. You're going to get the equivalent of national super then. But Treasury told John Key, I've got the paper in front of me, they said if you don't act, you'll have to put GST up to 19%, or you'll have to increase income tax by $30 a week. And by the way, you'll be visiting your grandkids in Melbourne because they're not going to hang around and carry the whole weight of New Zealand's ageing population with the baby boomers retiring. So it's a no-brainer, Wammo. We've got to do it, and everybody knows it.
Okay, now, of course, all these projections for, coming back into surplus and that kind of thing is based on information that we currently have to hand right now. But if you go and look at the situation in Europe, I mean, let's be fair. It is destiny that things are going to get worse there. I mean, I think people are just dancing around the fact that the things are going to fall apart. The Eurozone might fall apart. Things are going to get pretty dark in the next year. That's going to blow out any kind of projections that Labour has right now, right?
If things go upside down in Europe and the States, of course that's going to have an impact on New Zealand. Not the same size as it would have if I hadn't have negotiated a free trade agreement with China, and that China was our second largest trading partner. And China's growth is benefiting Australia, our first largest trading partner. So
China looks to falter as well, of course.
Look, if the whole world economy goes to hell, of course you have to look at everything again, and every party will have to do that. But what I guess I'm saying...
Does that mean you'd have to go back on promises?
Well, look, if the world changes from what we can reasonably forecast it to be at the moment, and you've got to make changes, yes. I tell you what I wouldn't do.
It sounds like, Phil, it sounds like a dynamic situation.
John Key's dynamic situation. No, see, the difference with that, Wammo, was that he made all those promises right in the middle of the global financial crisis. He'd seen all the projections. He knew what was happening in the world. There's no excuse for what he did. But the second difference is this. If you have a worsening crisis, you don't load that crisis on the people least able to cope with it because they're already struggling to make ends meet. Well, you give your wealthiest people $1,000 a week in tax cuts. If the situation did get worse, the difference between having a national government and a Labour government is that we would be committed to being fair right across the population, not protecting the wealthiest while getting the low and middle income people to carry the can.
Talking about people in bad situations, you've got some important announcements today. One of them included is helping children get out of poverty. Can you say anything to that this morning?
Yeah, look, I mean, 200,000 of our kids living below the poverty line. Is that a future that we can afford, given that our kids are our future? What I think any government's got to understand is this, that when a large section of your population can't achieve to its potential because they're ill-housed, poor health, not getting the educational opportunities they can, that blights their lives specifically, but it makes the whole of the country poorer. And we can't afford to do that. Now, you know, what I've said already, that I can tell you even before the launch, that's why we're going to have our tax change for a fairer tax system. The minimum wage will go up, so that will help a large section of that population. But with the first $5,000 income tax-free, while that'll make a marginal difference for higher income people, it'll make a big difference in the incomes of low income people. You know, that will apply to people on benefits, people on super, and it means for a household, a couple, another $1,000 a year in their pocket. So that will certainly help if you're trying to feed and clothe and house your kids.
I want to talk quickly climate change policy. You're going to bring agriculture into the emissions trading scheme on the 1st of January 2013. The national government, of course, doing that in 2015.
Or saying they might not do it at all now.
Okay. An interesting issue, fracking, that's sort of come up in the last year. You're going to put an investigation onto that. What about a moratorium on fracking?
Well, I think you do the investigation. I mean, that, as I understand it, has been a practice for quite a few years, but there are questions arising about what impact that has on geological stability. I think they are serious questions, and what we've said in our policy release is that we would urgently review that. There are different techniques that are used. Some might or might not be satisfactory, others most certainly wouldn't be. What we need is an open and transparent policy to investigate this. Some countries, or one country at least, I think France has banned it, others haven't. This is something that merits a review, and urgently, and we'll do it.
Are you going to make farmers pay for water?
Yeah, look, I see no argument at all why, and the National Party, this is another promise that they haven't costed, $400 million to provide irrigation schemes to farmers. If farmers are benefiting from the water, surely they should be paying for it. You know, they're using maybe a large dairy farm would use 1 billion litres a year in irrigation water. Why would the taxpayer pay for that rather than the farmer who's getting record prices for his produce? And by the way, why would the taxpayer pay for the pollution, the dirty streams, and the emissions trading of farmers? And take away the incentive for farmers actually to clean up their act to the extent they're able to. And what we've said with emissions trading, agriculture comes in, the money that we save from that goes into R&D, and a lot of that money will be finding technological solutions to methane emissions. And that's really important.
You've also announced no more hydro projects because you said no more protected or no more wild rivers will be dammed.
Yeah, we don't see scope for damming our beautiful and wild rivers. We are looking, however, at sustainable renewable energy electricity generation. Our focus is going to be pretty much as it was in the last term of our government on wind energy. That's going to be big in the future, and also geothermal. Our focus will also be on things like public transport, so that we are more efficient in how we use energy, bringing forward the introduction of electric cars as quickly as we can. The role government would play is obviously in setting the infrastructure up there, and continuing the process that began under Labor of home insulation energy efficiency.
Okay, thank you very much, Phil. Cheers.
Okay, thanks very much. Good to talk to you, mate. Bye.
Leader of the Labor Party, Phil Goff, there with us this morning.